I believe everyone has had similar opinions on Destiny's Edge of Fate DLC. According to SteamDB, player totals this release have been even worse than most seasons were in the past. So I decided to straighten out my thoughts, and eventually I decided I wanted to share them with context for the people that may not fully understand the community sentiment. Starting with the biggest core change, the portal. The portal was introduced in Developer Insight The Portal, where Bungie states,
The destination map, also called the director, is Destiny's venerable activity browsing and selection screen. Over the years, it has grown to be very unwieldy, making it harder to find specifically what's current and worthwhile to play, and requiring ever more expert knowledge to find what you are looking for. Even current players can have difficulty finding a new activity, while new or returning players have even greater trouble.
I couldn't agree more. The director has been the core of Destiny over the past 10 years, but for as breathtaking as it is, it has some organizational problems. Some activities take place on certain planets, but their node in the director is elsewhere, like Crota's End. For some, the node itself is just so far off the screen that they're near impossible to find, like Salvation's Edge. A navigational hub of sorts would be amazing for finding the node you're looking for. Something like a Raids tab would be nice so you wouldn't need to dig around in the director while 5 people sit patiently staring holes into your ship, wondering if you're AFK or just stupid. The portal, as it was introduced, would be categorized as follows.
Solo Ops, a 1 to 3 player activity requiring very low time or social commitment. These activities are designed for solo players, yet are still fun with the fire team and are easy to pick up and play for a quick session. Solo Ops will also feature a new activity type which will get a deep dive soon. Fire Team Ops, 3-player activities for match-made or pre-made groups. Designed for fire teams with more cooperation and coordination. These will feature activities like Strikes, Onslaught, the Coil, and new types in the future. Flashpoint Ops, 6-player activities for match-made or pre-made groups. Planned for a future season, this category will be introduced next year. It will feature more chaotic 6-player combat like offensives. Pinnacle Ops, 3-player activities featuring some more challenging content, including dungeons, exotic missions, and full-length onslaughts. Pinnacle Ops have the exclusive reward pool to claim, but success is not guaranteed. Crucible, a selection of core Crucible playlists for solo players and fire teams, providing an opportunity to test your mettle against other Guardians. An exclusive reward pool is available to claim with the same depth of tier as other categories.
Okay, so with dungeons under Pinnacle Ops, all we're missing is somewhere to put the raids. I'm sure they'll add that before the portal gets rolled out. We still have a year, right?
Every day, several activities in each category will have bonus rewards added to their standard offering. The bonus reward is guaranteed from the first daily clear and available at a high drop rate on future clears.
Oh cool. That would make certain days better for farming certain activities, keeping a sort of rotation in while not making it as limiting as the old weekly rotators. Not a necessary addition, but appreciated. But when Edge of Fate did roll out the portal, it felt like they intended the portal to fully replace the director. They hid the director under a new tab and even went as far as desaturating it to make it more forgettable. The portal categories only have a fraction of the content the director had, with most of the old content not even being accessible through the portal. And if you wanted to run any dungeon or raid, you cannot start it using the portal. On top of that, all of the old content doesn't even drop loot compatible with the new loot system introduced with Edge of Fate, making it feel like they're trying to remove any reason to play outside the portal. If they wanted to make Destiny 3, they could have just done it. And on top of that, they couldn't even add the new destination to the director. The only way to travel to the new destination, Kepler, is through the portal. To reiterate, Kepler is not on the director. It's only accessible through this node on the portal that says, Latest Expansion, Edge of Fate. What's the plan when a new expansion drops? Will Kepler be pushed to the director and become relevant too? Speaking of the portal UI, the Seasonal Hub. The Seasonal Hub was added alongside the portal, and despite being such a small part of the portal, it's somehow so wrong. You would think the Seasonal Hub would house everything involving the current season, right? You know, the season pass, seasonal challenges, seasonal activities, stuff like that. But no, the landing page for the Seasonal Hub is a bunch of daily and weekly challenges, alongside a weekly rewards pass. The second page houses all the season's conquests, new seasonal activities that seemingly only exist to gatekeep Guardian rank. The third and final page is basically just another way to view your progress for the Conqueror title. Currently in Reclamation, there are no seasonal activities, so I assume those will be a new page in the future. But in the whole Seasonal Hub, there's no way to browse the Seasonal Rewards Pass or your seasonal challenges. For those, you still have to go to the Rewards Pass tab. Some seasonal hub, huh? Let's move on to the next major overhaul with Edge of Fate. Loot. Previously, the defining feature of a drop were its attributes. For weapons, you'd look at the traits, maybe the mag and barrel if you're picky. And if it had what you were looking for, you'd use it. For armor, its stats. But now, loot has tiers. Tier 1 weapons are like world drops in the old system. Tier 2 drops get enhanced traits. Tier 3 gets additional traits in each column. Tier 4 gets enhanced mags and barrels. Tier 5 gets 3 traits in each column, enhanced origin traits, unique ornaments, and a kill effect slot. At face value, that sounds fine, just another layer of RNG. Tier 1 would be worse than weapons enhanced in the old system, while Tier 2 would be about the same. Tier 3 would have a layer of RNG protection, and Tier 4 would be slightly better. Tier 5 has mostly cosmetic changes, but it's still a functional improvement. So what's the problem? The problem is, for the most part, they've tied these tiers to your power level. To even have a chance to get a Tier 5, you need to be over 400 power. Now that doesn't mean much if you haven't tried to get to 400, but trust me when I say it will take literal days of grinding. Currently, the fastest power farms average 1 powerful reward every 5 minutes or so. At best, a powerful reward is 3 power above your account average, meaning at best, it'll take about 3 drops to raise your power by 1. That's 15 minutes. 15 minutes per power level, starting at the soft cap of 200, means that if you get perfect RNG, it'll take around 50 hours of grinding. But that's assuming perfect RNG. Each drop can be in any of 8 slots, meaning every 5 minutes you'll either get a +3 in a slot, a +2, a +1, or even a +0 in a slot. From what I've heard, it takes about 100 hours to reach 400. And that's not even considering the fact that the drop pool has multiple weapons in each slot, effectively weighting the power pool towards weapons. Even for the sweatiest, unemployed gremlin gamers, shout out to Fizzle, it took 75 hours of playtime just to reach 400. And then you only have a chance at earning Tier 5 gear. It's not even guaranteed at 400 power. For that you have to hit 450, which doesn't sound too bad, except the grind from 400 slows down exponentially. The same person that took 75 hours to get to 400, it took him another 90 to reach 450. If you want to know why it took more than double the time to gain 50 levels as opposed to 390, each powerful drop has an estimated 1 in 15 chance of being a pinnacle drop. Pinnacle drops are 1 tier higher than expected, and either +5 if you're below the powerful cap, or +3 if you're over it. Additionally, once you hit the powerful cap, powerful drops will be +0 to your account max power. This is why the grind slows down so much after 400. Now to be clear, the way people have been grinding is not the intended way to grind. The intended method is much less of a time investment, but it involves doing the daily and weekly challenges in the seasonal hub. Assuming you pace yourself and focus on getting bonus drops, it'll most likely take much less playtime to get to max power. But it'll also take multiple weeks. And to earn good gear from limited time events, you have to be high power when they're around. The first event where this was relevant was the Suros Arms Week, a minor event that had 2 exclusive guns that started just 2 weeks after the power changes. The casual grinders were incapable of getting high tier loot during this event, while the people that had invested the past 2 weeks of their lives into the game were rolling in Tier 5s, effectively emphasizing a class divide amongst Destiny's players. The no-lifers with their Tier 5 event loot, and the casuals that got Tier 3 stuff at best. But that can't be too bad. I'm sure the casuals have good loot from before Edge of Fate. That old gear should still be competitive, right? Well, let's talk about featured gear. The problem with any game that lasts as long as Destiny has is power creep. To keep players playing and coming back, the new loot has to be better than what they have. So things need to keep getting better over time, causing power creep. In an attempt to prevent power creep from now and into the future, Bungie implemented a system called featured gear. The idea is, every new season, new gear will come out and be featured, giving a temporary boost to damage, damage resistance, and score multipliers just for that season. Then it will lose its bonuses and new gear will be featured, giving players reason to keep farming. If you play a lot of MMOs, you'll probably start to see some flaws in this system. With the featured gear system, anything that isn't featured starts to feel worse than the featured stuff, which does incentivize grinding. But from a player's perspective, how fun is it to farm the same gear season after season just to regain the same power you had last season? What's it all for? Live service games with power creep are already quite a Sisyphean thing to subject yourself to. But when the next season you could be farming for literally the same thing you had last season, what's the point? Featured gear is a morale killer. and despite the intention to counteract power creep, the power creep must still exist for players to keep feeling like they're earning something worthwhile, making featured gear seem like a wet band-aid on a gun wound. Now, as a slight clarification, items that aren't featured are not totally useless. Certain weapons, like heavy grenade launchers, only get a 2% damage bonus if they're featured, making non-featured heavy GLs still quite competitive. But the community does not seem to realize that, and common belief is that if it's not featured, it's trash. Seemingly, this belief comes from streamers that played the Edge of Fate beta, when the featured bonus was a 15% damage increase across the board. That was not the case when the DLC launched, but many people seem to have not realized this. Stepping back from the loot itself, I want to talk about how to actually earn these powerful drops, and part of why the grind is so repetitive. On the old power system, you had 2 sets of weekly challenges. The first set gave powerful drops, and the second set gave pinnacle drops. Starting from the soft cap, powerful drops would be plus 3 to your max power, and pinnacle drops would be plus 5. You could only complete each challenge once per week per class, so some people felt like their growth rate was limited. But the system was meant to be more accessible for people that didn't have much time for Destiny. A player putting in 5 hours a week wouldn't be too far behind a player that played 40 hours in a week. Edge of Fate changed this, removing the challenges and making powerful and pinnacle drops farmable through portal activities, but they had to limit the growth rate somehow, so they implemented a scoring system. With the scoring system, you must add challenging modifiers to increase your challenge multiplier, and wear high power gear to increase your reward multiplier. These multipliers will then stack multiplicatively and multiply your activity score, giving you a score total which would net you a rewards package. Your rewards package is also affected by your rewards rank, which is affected by your account's max power. That was a lot of words just to say hard content plus good gear equals good reward. Now, just from what I've explained, there's already an issue with the system. With the old system, drops were based on your highest power gear regardless of if you had them equipped. But the new system highly encourages spending materials to keep the set you're using your highest power set, which in turn discourages frequently changing builds. There's also the issue of the new gear bonus. Bungie is further incentivizing people to use gear they may not want to use just so they can get better rewards. On top of that, your reward rank effectively caps your rewards. No matter how high you raise the difficulty, you'll still only get your max rewards package. You can do an activity 80 power below the enemy level, and rewards will still be as if you did it 30 under. Now I kinda get why they did that. If I were to join my 400 power friend when I'm power 200, without the current reward rank system, I'd be boosted to 400 power drops, effectively negating the grind for me because I have a no-life friend. But these limitations also serve to painfully slow the grind for normal players. All of this culminated in the ultimate power leveling strategy of just running the same solo ops mission over and over until your reward rank goes up, where you change a few modifiers to go back to getting max loot, then repeat that until the heat death of the universe. It's just so much fun. The top players have thousands of clears in solo ops Caldera. It's not even funny. So, what can Bungie do? The changes have been made, this is how the game is now. What can be done? Personally, I think step 1 is increasing the drop quantity on Fireteam and Pinnacle Ops. As it stands, this MMO is best played solo, which should not be the case. Nerfing solo ops would further worsen sentiment, but everyone is happy when things get buffed. Second, I think pinnacle drops need to be much more common. It should not take more time to gain the last 50 levels than it did to gain the first 400. Maybe if you unlocked something at 400 power, the current design would make more sense, but as it stands, 400 is just a meaningless wall in progression. I'm not saying you should make pinnacles guaranteed, but the current rates are demoralizing. Third, we gotta do something about the portal. Personally, I think the portal as it is just a wholly negative aspect of the game. I expected it to be more of an activity tree rather than a list of things to power grind. I think if the portal were expanded to have more activities that people actually want to run, with activity-specific loot rather than the portal activities pool, people would be farming a wider variety of things because they could get weapons they actually want alongside power bumps. And those are just some of the changes I would make, but feel free to share your ideas. I'm genuinely curious what the community thinks. I truly do hope Bungie or Sony or whoever owns the game in the next year get the game back on its feet. I've been a fan since Destiny 1's beta. I've loved the series through thick and thin. But the state it's in now feels like a regression back to early D2, back to the Curse of Osiris days. I guess to sum up, thanks to the systematic changes made in Edge of Fate, Destiny feels like a new game, in the worst way possible. There's very little worthwhile content, There's a bunch of systems that don't mesh well together, and there's a lot of negative reviews. I know my opinion is not the objective truth, and you could easily debate anything I say here, but I just wanted to share my thoughts, and I probably won't make another video like this again. So if you like my voice and want to hear me talk more, subscribe!
Flashpoint 6. Oh god, I said Flashpoint 6 ops. Like Rainbow Six Siege. I might be cooked. Hi, my name's Baymax. Oh.